What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division Resurgence video. It's launch day and I'm going to talk you through everything I wish I knew on my journey to level 40, giving you the perfect beginner's guide. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. Just before we get started, this video ran way longer than I wanted it to, so I have timestamped everything down below in the description for your convenience. I'm going to do much more detailed videos on every part of the Resurgence game after this video, but this video is enough to get you started and get you well on your way to level 40. First up is server selection, the first thing that you are greeted with when you log in to the game. This is key and important if you want to play with your friends. Whichever server you select, you are grouped up with that server and you can't play across server like you can in the Division 2. So select that server wisely. Just a little bit of information here. I'm in Europe. I'm playing on an America server and I have no lag at all. So currently between the America and the Europe servers, I don't think there's any issue with you creating where your friends are. One thing to note, just while we're logging in here, your name is available separately on every server. So if you want to get your name early on every server, because you might flip between maybe the America one and the Europe one, make sure you get logged in, do the tutorial mission and get your name reserved. One of your first choices in the game is going to be which specialization you want to choose. Just have fun with this. There is no need or anything like that. The game will allow you to kind of play exactly as you want. Although I will say you might have an easier time playing the straight up gun class, the Vanguard, at some points during the game. Or maybe even the Bulwark tanky class as well. They might have a minute advantage, but it's a very, very small advantage. But these will come into play very, very late on in endgame when you are doing legendary content, but certainly nothing to worry about now at this point in the game. Choose what you want and just have fun. Next up, we're going to talk about the gear in the game. So you're going to get all kinds of different gear when you start playing. The usual selection if you're a Division veteran: blues, greens, purples, and then high ends. There are some exotics in the game, but there's only 2 guns for now, but you certainly don't have to worry about them until later in the video, which I will talk about them. When it comes to gear, my recommendation would be to never actually upgrade unless you need to because you are struggling with content. And I say that with good reason, because any of the materials that you invest into upgrading gear, when you trash that gear, you get 90% of the materials back. That sounds like a great thing, but you are losing 10% of them upgrade materials every time that you do that process. And it really does add up, because when you get to later in the game, it can become pretty expensive. And especially if you're going to be a complete free-to-play player, then I would definitely recommend just saving unless you really, really need it. As for sets and things like that, you really have nothing to worry about. I would never look about re-rolling or anything like that when you get to high ends and all that kind of stuff. Just use what you think is best and what does good damage numbers, and you will get through the campaign with no issues whatsoever. You really want to be saving as many of your resources as you possibly can for when you get to level 40. One thing to note is that when you get a piece of gear, it's infinitely upgradable. You can take it pretty much throughout your career with you. Now, you're not going to want to take your greens, blues, purples with you. But one thing that you do need to know about is when you get to purples, when they kind of come around, I think it's high teens, 18, 19, 20, you can get a variant of them a little bit later on, where you can see here on the gear, it says T0. You get an upgraded purple version called Tier 1. You can see it also happens with high ends as well. In fact, high ends do have a Tier 2 set of gear, which you can see as of yet, I'm not ready to go out and farm. It's incredibly hard to get there for the moment. But just take a little bit of a peek at them. They do roll with higher stats and it will make your life a little bit easier. When you get into gear, if you get a piece and it's low level, if you go to improve, this is what I'm talking about here, you can click improve and you can use these materials to level it up. But just as I said before, you only get 90% of these materials back. So be very, very careful when you come to what you're upgrading, but do feel free to deconstruct and rather than sell. I would recommend just deconstructing for materials. You get lots of credits in the game from just doing the missions and things like that. So it is worth to just deconstruct, but obviously that's down to you. Just kind of keep an eye on your deconstruction materials and keep an eye on your credits and just kind of balance that out. When it comes to your agent screen, things do look fairly familiar, especially if you're a Division 1 or a Division 2 player. But there's a couple of things that I do want to point out. All gear has mods that you can equip here in the improve section, and all mods along with gear can all be upgraded with various materials. So just take that into account as well. If you do any deconstructing with that, everything is 90%. The only thing that is an exception is this one here, your watch, your OS protocol. You only get 80% back from deconstructing these, so be very, very careful, as this is potentially one of the strongest things that you'll have in the game. It's essentially like having a talent on your watch. You can see for this blue one here, it's fairly simple. It's straight up firepower. The purple ones come a little bit later in the game, linked to bounties, along with the high-end ones, but these are really, really powerful, and you're definitely going to be wanting to watch out for these later on in the game. But for now, just pick one whichever suits which specialization you're going for. For instance, you can see my specialization here is all damage, so I've gone with an all damage kind of build as much as I possibly can from the loot that I've collected. Another thing to note, it's not just gear that can roll with mods everywhere as well. It's also your guns, which they can also be upgraded, and it's also your skill mods as well. Skill mods are very, very special in this game because just like gear in Division 2, they also have combo set bonuses. So just keep an eye out for them as well. When you start going into the DZ, and I'm going to make a different video independent for the DZ, but you will at some point during your agent career be able to unlock targeted loot for these mods. Targeted loot is not a thing in this game like it is in Division 2, but you can select the mod targeted loot from the dark zone. And then if you head over to your missions, and I'll show you just here, you can see here when you go down the instances, you can see what the rewards are going to be. So pay attention to that when you're flicking through them. You can see what gear is in each mission. This doesn't change. So if you want a certain piece of loot as you're farming through because you're short, you know, a purple mask because you're running all blues or something like that, you know exactly where it is that you need to go and farm. Just touching back on dismantling, it does tell you here, so always pay attention. I sometimes miss it, but you can see here, dismantling returns 90% of the materials used for equipment upgrades. Next, we're going to touch upon things that will get you boosted very, very quickly. If you click the menu at the top, you'll see your agent career. It's very important to use this as your boost for XP and other bits of gear and materials when you start the game. Work your way through this as you're progressing through your main missions. Pay attention to any markers that you have in any of your menus. You'll likely have a lot of rewards to claim. So also the SHD commendations as well. If you go into these as you progress through, you can, well, you'll be able to claim them or track them. To be honest, I don't track any of them. I just kind of play the game, go in, and then you'll get materials and Phoenix credits and things like that to claim. There are little hidden ones around as well if you pay a bit more attention in the Isaac database. So for instance, these are the things that you're going to be collecting around the world map. And if you go into them, you can see there's these caches here that will also give you rewards as Phoenix credits, regular credits, and upgrade materials. One of the main things you're going to do right from the beginning is upgrade your skill tree in your specialization. And you can see here, each specialization has a couple of different tracks that you can upgrade. So to get materials to do this, you're going to want to do open world events. And just very, very familiar, if you played Division 1 or 2 before, you can go to these here and you can see that you'll get materials for doing these. And if you're ever wondering where it is that you need to get something from, the game actually tells you. You don't actually need to look up a guide video or anything like that. If, for instance, I flick over to this one here and I'll find something where I can upgrade. So you can see here, I'm on this one here. It's 1 out of 2. And you can see I'm short actually for this upgrade. So you click on it, you click find, and it go and do hostage rescues. For instance, the other materials here, you go and do supply runs. And then for this material here, you can do arms deals or outposts. Again, all open world events that you can just go and do. Really, really easy. One thing I do want you to pay attention to is this material here. The electronics omega components. These are extremely rare. And you can kind of progress down a specialization without using them. But if you really want to go main on one of your specializations, you're probably going to want to use them, just like I did on this one, to max it out completely. But just be very, very cautious when you get them on what you're actually using them for. When we go back to the open world map, there's one thing that I want to point out to you, is that you will see you get open world bosses. These also drop materials for upgrading specializations, but be cautious, your open world map is shared with all other agents. So these guys might not hang around for long. But if I go back into my specialization, you will see that I've got these SHD kind of caches here, and then bosses will give you them, and they're necessary to progress down the tree because they are actually the points that you do. When it comes to specializations, you can activate different focuses on the fly if you want to use the damage focus, or you can see the skill buff bonus here on this one. They're different play styles, but to actually change specialization, you need to come back to the bench. When it comes to what else you are going to do, just do your main missions. Work your way through. Day 1, you can get all the way up to level 16 before you hit any kind of XP cap. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But just work through your main missions. That's what I recommend. Once you've done all your main missions, you've got plenty of side missions. And more side missions appear for you all the way up to, I believe, level 34 or 35. So you've got plenty of missions that will get added along the way. Outpost Annihilation at the moment is bugged. I don't know if it will be by the time you watch this video, but if you're having problems with it and enemies not spawning, that is why you can't complete that mission. Also, what you want to do on the daily is when you come in, you can see at the top you have daily quests. You want to complete these every day. If you are at 40 or you have maxed out your current level on your specialization, before you claim them, as you can see, you get specialization XP as well. So change your specialization before you claim them, because otherwise it's just XP that is going to waste. You definitely don't want to waste that valuable and easy specialization XP. And also you get rewards, Phoenix credits and things like that. These are worth doing every day. The other thing is as well, you get a cap every day of 10 open world missions. So them materials that we were talked about before for upgrading, you can only do 10 of them a day. So pick them wisely for the materials that you need for upgrading your specialization. Once you've kind of done all of your missions and you've done all your side missions and you want to grind out some more materials and XP, I would definitely recommend moving on to your hostile nests. 2 of these appear every 15 minutes, with also the option for a 3rd one as well, which is much more difficult. You probably don't have to worry about for that now. It's a challenging one or heroic one. They sometimes appear on random days. As of now, I don't know if there's actually a path or a predictable path for them to appear, but you'll get 2 every 15 minutes. These are really good as well because they actually give you these materials as well for upgrading your weapon mods, and these ones for upgrading your gear mods, and you'll need a lot of these. So you can do them as well. You get about 30 to 40, I'm not sure on the exact number of these per day that you can do. It will take you hours to get through them all, so it's definitely not a slow grind at all. And then other things that you can do, you have weekly quests that will net you a lot of materials. These are definitely worth doing. You have more missions to do than you can claim along here. So just do the ones that are easiest and get yourself to the end every week. You also have weekly bounties. These become extremely important when you get to high ends, because these random OS protocols that are high end are very, very good and will make or break your build. So when you start seeing them appear, that's something that you're definitely going to want to be farming for as well. After that, you have other options for leveling up, which never kind of run out of good XP or gear, is going over to the DZ. If you go over to the DZ, if we can see the map maybe, no we can't. Let me go in there and I can show you. Now in the DZ you can see these skull here. These are bosses that are in the DZ. These will net you some good gear if you extract it. They'll also net you some very, very good XP. And you can see they're all the way up the center of the map. But obviously, there's going to be competition in here for farming these. They are good XP. They are good gear. I really recommend doing this in a group. And if you're rushing ahead on day one release, it might be a little bit easier to do these. But this is only recommended if you are in a group and you are willing to deal with people going rogue. Last but not least is rerunning the quickest mission in the game, Chinatown Rescue. Now, the reason I say this with caution, if you do this, I would definitely recommend doing it on normal. You can see that the XP that you get here, it looks really high. And if you've exhausted your daily XP allowance, it will be much, much lower. For instance, if you look down on the bottom here, you can see I've got this orange up arrow. That means I'm currently in XP bonus, and that is what's reflected when you go into the mission, and you can see that XP there. That is the exact XP that I'm going to get. When the orange bar goes away, it goes way, way, way down. But running Chinatown Rescue is still a really good farm, but don't over level yourself doing this, because otherwise all of a sudden your gear will be massively out of date. You won't have the materials to level up, and unless you've got a group that's willing to carry you, the game will become very, very, very hard. So I say this with extreme caution. You can spam it on normal. It's really not worth doing it on hard or challenging or heroic. If you can manage it, it will take way, way longer. On normal, you can get through it in a few minutes, and that's what makes it extremely efficient. But like I said, be very, very cautious when doing that, because you might out level yourself very, very easy and then make the game pretty much too hard for yourself when it doesn't really need to be. A few other nice little things before we round out the video is here you get the agent's journey. You can get yourself materials along your way. You'll do most of these when playing the game. You'll also get new agent training that will unlock as you play the game as well, giving you more rewards as well. And also you've got the agents reporting for duty that will also net you some nice rewards just for free, and you've got nothing to worry about. Now, I want to pay a little bit of attention to the store. If you're willing to make your game a little bit easier for yourself and you don't mind spending any money. And I say this with caution because you absolutely do not need to do this. I'm not recommending that you do this, but if you want to make the game a little bit easier for you by spending a little bit of money, I'm going to show you exactly what it is that you can do. You can get the Warden Field supplies, and if you log in every day, you'll get yourself some Phoenix credits, and this is pretty good value for money. When I say this though, it's not the fact that you're getting the Phoenix credits that is important. It's the fact that it speeds up crafting by 40%, and this is absolutely huge when it comes to doing your agent career. That will get you a huge boost in XP really early on. It doesn't seem too fair, I get it, but it isn't that expensive. And if you want to kind of get through that a little bit and get some of the rewards as the days go on, this would be something that I would definitely recommend. The career advancement, I do not recommend this unless you want the Phoenix credits and the keys. I don't think there's anything in the shop to spend them on right now. So unless you really want them, then you don't necessarily have to get them. I have bought some things to kind of see how it works out so that I can kind of give this advice to you guys as well. Other things that I kind of want to point out here, if we go back to that, is the Classifieds Opt Pass. And this is probably the one thing I would recommend to buy if you're not going to buy anything else. Because what it will do is at level 10, I think it is. 6, 7, 8, 9. No, where is it? There it is. At level 5, it will give you an exotic, the Warlord, which could carry you all the way to 40. If you do get this, do lock it, because there are only... The only ways of getting this, I believe there's only 3 ways of getting this throughout the entire game. And 2 of them here are in the pass. You get another one a little bit further on. And at the moment, it's a little bit weird because we have no real way of making them better if, like me, the 2 that you got from the pass are not very good. I think I've probably gone past it, but there is 2 on here as well. It also contains these golden chips for specialization that I talked about before that are very, very rare as well. So if you are going to do anything, this will be the one thing I would recommend that you pick up, because you'll get a gun that will pretty much carry you through the game all the way to level 40. And yeah, that is one thing to do. But that's not the whole be all and end all when it comes to weapons. When you go into weapons and you go to improve, you can see here you can do proficiency on all of them. It's something that you want to do so that you can unlock things later on in the game. So using more weapons, the better, to basically do the proficiency quests and trying to find out what you like along the way. Definitely recommend doing this. Just be aware there is some problems with proficiency at the moment where, like me, it can get blocked. So if you do get blocked on any of your guns, just move on to the next one and do as much of this along your journey as you possibly can. Going back to the store though, and we can go here into special offers. Now, none of this I would definitely say is needed, but some of it does give you a huge discount. And if you want to get ahead a little bit, I would definitely recommend the bounty deal because it has one of the rare gold specialization chips in, and the exclusive seal cash deal. These can be used when there's a really nice cash in the store. There's nothing in there as of right now. It's purely a precaution, so that is a good purchase as well. And then the Lone Wolf challenge deal is pretty good as well because the recal books are pretty hard to get. So if you are going to spend anything, I would recommend them 3, but definitely nothing else is needed here. And nothing, I do stress this again, nothing from this store is needed at all. This is just if you want a very quick shortcut that is relatively cheap and is not throwing hundreds of pounds away. Then the other thing that we can talk about really quickly, which is the bundle store. Again, I would definitely not recommend the high-end T0 gear cache because it's only £1 or $1, but it is so random. It can be any T0 high-end gear. Absolutely not worth it. I would not buy this. Same with the weapon one as well. Unless you're really struggling, I know it's only $1, but and there's only 1 a week, but I would not recommend these at all. But there are 2 that I would recommend. One I would medium recommend is the OS protocol bundle, because upgrading OS protocols can be very expensive. So this is a nice boost for 90 Phoenix credits, and you'll get these Phoenix credits from doing all the things that I've shown you. So probably this might not cost you anything at all. So as you can see here, I've not done anything but the game, and I've got 8,590 Phoenix credits. Obviously, all the stuff I've done in like the Isaac manual and the agent career and things like that, I can't do them again. So these are fairly limited unless you're going to buy any. But for a nice boost, the OS protocol upgrade materials is a good buy. Another one that is probably the best buy in the store is this one here, the Recal material bundle. This one gives you the booklets that you need to recal guns. These are pretty hard to come by, and it really does push you towards farming the god role. But these are pretty hard to come by, and if I was going to recommend you buy anything in the store, absolutely not needed, but this would be the other thing. Everything else, though, I can't stress enough, is definitely not needed, and I would definitely not recommend buying these ones here, the Superior OS Protocol ones. They're high-end, and you can farm these in the game really easy. So if I've not mentioned it, I would definitely not recommend purchasing it. because you can just farm it in the game as long as you're just willing to play. That is going to be it for this video. It's a very brief beginner's guide. It's probably 15 minutes longer than I wanted it to be, but there was a lot to cover. But I would definitely recommend playing this game with friends. It does make it much, much easier if you've got at least another person to tag along running around the streets of New York with. What I would definitely recommend though, before I go, is use your daily orange boost of XP. Although it's not a boost because essentially it's normal XP and then it drops below normal, because everything in the menus will give you the boosted value. It'll always look higher, and that's the value you get when the orange up arrow is on. I would always recommend using that every day. Doing your weekly and daily missions, I would definitely recommend doing them. 10 open world activities, do them every day. And if that's the only thing you're going to do every day, then that's fine. Don't forget though, go and put them crafts on. You will need to put a craft on at least every day, depending if you've got the speed up or not. Because when you go into here, you can see I'm on phase 6 and you've got to get to crafting expertise level 6. That means crafting an item over and over and over again to level it up. So that is one thing that you've just got to keep an eye on. Some of these things will catch you out for time gating you if you're not careful. But there is no hard cap or soft cap to playing. You can play this over and over again. Yes, the XP does get pretty harsh. Yes, it is a grind, but it's a looter shooter. It's meant to be a grind, and that is going to be your most efficient ways of getting to 40, and hopefully a few things along the way that you can look out for. I can't stress it enough. I don't want this to come across as I've shilled for the store. You do not have to buy anything at all. It's just a little bit of a boost that will get you ahead a little bit quicker if you're that kind of person. You don't need to do it. There is 100% no need to buy anything from the store. This game can be played completely and utterly free. That's going to be it for the video. I will drop a separate video for the DZ and for a more in-depth leveling up from 0 to 40 guide, if you want to know that as well, and also conflict as well, as I'll be able to get into that a bit more in depth, as I've not been able to so far. But happy launch day, agents. If you want to come and watch me live, I'll be on twitch.tv/DJTICKLE, or I'll be streaming on YouTube as well. Come and say hi. There is Twitch drops available as well for the week of launch. You can come and get them with me as well. That's going to be it for the video. So as always, agents, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.